technology skills. On today's video, we're going to talk about do loops, while loop in VB.NET. So basically, we're going to learn the do while, do until, and while loop. Of course, with examples for easier understanding. So let's start. First, we have the do loop. It repeats the enclosed block of a statement while a Boolean condition is true or until the condition becomes true. It could be terminated at any time with the exit do statement. So these are the syntax on how to use the do loop. So here guys, we have two ways on how to use the do loop. For the first syntax, we have the do keyword and we are going to use the while or until. So later I'll be discussing what is the use of while and until keyword. Then beside it is the condition. To close the loop, we need to use the loop keyword. And of course, inside the loop are the statements to be executed. For the second syntax, they're just the same, but if you're going to look here, the while and until keyword is beside the loop keyword, and of course we have the condition. Okay, so when they use the while or until keyword, while keyword do a group of statement if the condition is satisfied. Until keyword do a group of statements until the condition is satisfied. Okay, so basically you use while if you want to ask a condition if that is true. If the condition is true, it will perform the statement inside the loop. For the until keyword, it will perform the statements or line of codes inside the loop until it satisfies the condition. Okay, so let's have an example for better understanding. For this example guys, we're going to use the Visual Studio 2019. So they're just the same with the other Visual Studio. Here we have the past activities or projects that we have done, and at this part on the right side you can see the write new project. So just click that part to create a new project, and here we're going to locate a Windows Form app .NET framework. Okay, so we have here the language that we can use, the Visual Basic. Okay, so just click this part, then click next, then the name of the project. So for the name of this project, we're going to use loops example, then save on the location that you want to save. So I'll be changing the location for me. So if you're done, just click create. So for the first example that we have, let's say we're going to display the numbers from 1 to 10. So we're going to use the do loop for that example. To display, let's say we're going to use the list box. So let's just arrange this part and change the font size. So it's up to you to change the font size or the property that you want. Then let's change the name to LST display. Okay, so listbox guys is a tool or control in Visual Studio or VB.NET wherein you can create a list on or inside the box. Okay, so inside the box, we're going to display the numbers from 1 to 10, and we're going to use the do loop statements. Okay, so let's just place the code inside the form load. Okay, so to go inside the form load, just double click the form and you are going to be redirect on this location. Okay guys, so copy this code and I'll be explaining what it means later on. So here we have the variable num and the initial value is 1. So why it starts with 1? Because we want to display the numbers from 1 to 10 and we're going to use the variable num to increment the display. Okay, then next we're going to use the do loop, and if you're going to observe after entering or placing the space for the do loop, you can see there the keyword until and while. For the uses of until, you can read that on your screen, we have there the tool strip, and you can use your arrow key to read the definition or the use of while keyword. Okay, so first we're going to use the keyword until. Just use your tab, and then next is the condition. So we're going to loop or display the value of num until it reaches the value of 10. So we have num greater than 10. So why greater than 10? Because it will stop the loop if it reaches 11. 11 is greater than 10. So just click enter and observe the loop keyword automatically plays. So inside the loop, we're going to have this code. So copy this code first, and I'll be explaining later on. Okay, so inside the loop, we have LST display, that is our list box, and we're going to add an item on the list box. Okay, so we're going to add the current value of num. Then after displaying or adding the current value of num, we're going to update or increment the value of num by 1. So now let's try to run this program. Observe on the list box, we have the value 1 to 10. Okay, so these are the values of num. So if you're going to observe, the display stops at 10 because 11 is a greater than 10. It will stop the condition. So if we want to change this program, we want to change greater than to equal, make sure that you change 10 into 11 because it means that the loop will stop until it reaches the value 11. Okay, so now let's try again to run this program. Observe, they have the same output. Okay, so let's try the other syntax for the do until loop. For the other syntax, you just place the until keyword and a condition beside the loop. So let's just Control X and Control V at this part, then try again to run the program. If you're going to observe, they have the same result. Okay, so you may either use the first syntax or the second syntax. Okay, so if we're going to change until into while keyword, so let's try. For the while keyword, it will run the loop if the condition is satisfied. Okay, so we are going to satisfy the condition. It means that our condition must be less than or equal to 10. So why less than or equal to 10? Because the current or the initial value of num is 1. 1 is less than 10. Then we want to display until 10. That's why we have equals to 10. That is the condition. It means that it will, if the condition is satisfied or true, it will perform this action. Okay, so now let's try to run this program. So observe, they have the same answer or display with the until keyword. Just don't forget that if you're going to use the while keyword, the condition must be satisfied or the condition must be true. For the until keyword, it will perform the loop until it reaches the condition. Next, we have the while and while loop. It executes a series of statements as long as the given condition is true. So quite the same with the do while loop. For the syntax for while and while loop, we have the while keyword, and beside the keyword is the condition, and of course to end the loop is the end while keyword. Inside the loop are the statements to be executed if the condition is satisfied or if the condition is true. So same, the while keyword executes a group of statements if the condition is satisfied or true. Here on our code, we're going to edit this and we're going to try to display the number 1 to 10 using the while and while loop. Okay, so let's just edit this part. For the start of a while and while loop, of course we have the while keyword. And beside the while keyword is a condition. Okay, so our condition is the same with the do while loop a while back. So we have num less than or equal to 10. And of course, to end this, we have the end while. Okay, so this is the good thing using of Visual Studio. It provides you keywords that you can use. So just use your arrow key if you want, or if you want, you can type it whole. Okay, so we have here the end while loop. So now let's try to run this program and let's see if it displays the number from 1 to 10. Okay, so if you're going to observe, it displays the numbers 1 to 10. So now guys, we're going to try some problems using do loop and while loop. Okay, so the first problem that we have, ask the user to enter a number and display the number from 1 to the input number. So a bit similar with the first example a while back. So for example, the user enters 6 on a list box probably, or a combo box, it's up to you. We're going to display the numbers from 1 to the input number. Okay, so here guys, let's say we're going to edit this form and add some text box, of course, for the user to input some text. Okay, so it's up to you for the design. For the label, I place enter a number on this text and change the font size to bold 14. I think that is okay. For the text box, just change the font size to 14 and bold. Then of course, I'll be changing the text name for better use. Okay, so the text name is txt input. Then let's add a button. For the button, the name is BTN. Okay, the font is same, bold 14. Text is okay. Let's just fix this part. For other properties of controls, I have a separate video about that, and I'll be displaying the link on the description box or on your screen, on the top of your screen. Okay, here let's have the code inside the BTN. Okay, for this part, for the load, of course, we don't need that anymore. We can remove that part and copy this code on BTN. Okay, so here guys, inside the BTN, okay, we have the variable num. The data type is integer because we want to display numbers, and the initial value is 1 because the problem asks the user to enter a number and display 1 until the input number. We can use the do while, do until, or while loop for that. Okay, so first we use the do until. So the condition for do until, same with the first example, we have num greater than the input value. Okay, so for the input value, we have val txt input.text means that the number enter or placed inside the txt input will be converted into numbers. Okay, so val is used to convert a string to integers. So we want to display. Inside the loop, we have the display items that add. Okay, so we want to display the current value of num and increment the current value of num by 1. Okay, so let's try to run this program. Then let's try to enter 6. Then click OK. So observe, it display 1 to the input value, which is 6. So if you want to change until to while, the condition must be changed. Let's try to run again this program. Let's try 8. Observe, display 1 to 8. So for the while loop, let's just remove the keyword do and change the ending loop into and while. So that's it. So here, let's try 5. Then click OK. Observe, it display 1 to 5. So for some instance, we want to display starting from the input number until 1. That's the time we're going to change the initial value, and of course it will decrement. So here, for this condition, the initial value must starting from the input value, and the condition must be changed. For the condition, change less than to greater than and equal to 1 because we want to display starting from the input value until 1. Then of course change plus to minus because that is decrementing. Then let's try to run this program. Let's try 6. Observe, it starts from the input value until 1. So same with the other loops. So next problem, we have problem number 2. Write a program to find the factorial value of any number entered by the user. So for example, the user entered 4. The factorial is 24. So how to compute the factorial? We have 1 times 2 times 3 times 4, that is 24. So if you're going to observe, factorial is the product of all numbers starting from 1 until the input number. Or you can also have 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, so that is factorial. So here guys, on our code on the previous project or problem, let's just edit this. Okay, so first we're going to remove this part and let's continue this. Okay, so we have the num. This num will be used to count the current factorial, that is the 1 times 2 times 3 and so on. So let's just skip this into val txt input.text. Okay, so it means that it will start from the input number until it reaches 1. Okay, so let's use do. Okay, so let's try while here. Okay, so for the condition, we have num greater than 1. Okay, so the condition is num greater than 1 because the initial value of num is the input value and until it reaches the value 1. Okay, so it means that it will stop at 1. So to hold the factorial, we're going to add another variable, that is dim fact as integer. Okay, so we're going to use integer because that is a whole number and initial value is 1. Why 1? Because if we're going to multiply a number by 1, it will result to a number. So this will hold the factorial of a number. Then this, of course, we're going to have the end loop. So inside the loop, we're going to compute the factorial. Then if you're going to observe at the sample problem, we have these two boxes. Okay, so we're going to follow this second box wherein it starts from the input number until it reaches 1. Okay, so to do that, we're going to use a string to display the asterisk or the symbol sign for multiplication. So here, we're going to add another variable, which is a string. Okay, so the initial value is empty. Okay, so that is optional. So copy this code and I'll be explaining what it means later on. Okay, so we have so inside the loop, we have the fact times the current value of num. Okay, so this will compute the factorial until it reaches 1. Then for the str, we're going to concatenate the current value of num and the symbol sign for multiplication, which is the asterisk. Okay, so the plus sign here is used for concatenation. Then decrement the value of num by 1 every after loop. So to display this string 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, we're going to add that on the list box. So we have this code. So this code will add 1 equals. Okay, so if you're going to observe, the while loop ends at value 1. Okay, so we can omit 1 because if we're going to multiply 1 by a number, it will result to the number. Okay, so we have this to add 1 equals 2 to the string. Then let's add that to the list box. So we have the string, then concatenate the value of the factorial. So we have fact dot to string. So to string is a method used to convert integer to string. Okay, so let's try to run this program. Okay, so let's try to enter 4, then click OK. So if you're going to observe, we have 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 equals to 24. Okay, so the output is correct. So observe, 1 equals is added here on this part. So you can also use the do until. Okay, so for the until, just change the condition. So until it reaches 1. Then try again to run the program. Let's try 4 if they have the same output. Okay, so they have the same output. Next, for the problem number 3, write a program that converts a decimal number to binary number. Let's say the user entered 25 base 10. So if we're going to convert that into binary, that is base 2, we have 11001. So to do that, we're going to use the mode or modulo to give us the remainder. Okay, so let's say 25, that is base 10, mode 2, it will give us 1. Then 25 divided by 2, that is 12, mode 2, that is 0, and so on. Okay, so let's try to run this program, or let's try to code this problem. On the BTN OK, we're going to recycle our design. Let's change all the code. Okay, so copy this code and I'll explaining what it means later on. Okay, so we have here two variables. We have D, it will hold the input value, then B, the initial value is 0. Okay, so D is for decimal, B is for binary. Then for this problem, we're going to use the while loop, but you can also use the do while and do until. Okay, so observe, we have the while keyword, then D greater than 0. So D is for decimal, that is the input number. So let's say 25 is the input number, 25 is greater than 0. To get the binary, we're going to use the modulo or mode operator. So we have this code. Then let's add another string to hold the binary. Okay. Okay, observe, inside the loop, we have B, binary, is equal to D decimal mode 2. Okay, to get the remainder of the current value of the decimal. Then after that, we're going to concatenate the binary or the computed remainder to the string for it to be displayed. Then we're going to display the decimal mode 2, then the binary or the remainder. Then after that, we're going to divide the decimal by 2. Okay, so if you're going to observe, or divide is the backslash, okay, to give us the ceiling value. It will not give us a decimal value. Now let's try to run this program. Let's try to input 25, then click OK. Observe, it gives us 25 mode 2, 1, 12 mode 2, 0, and so on. So let's just edit the design for us to give the binary result. Okay, so Control C, Control V. Let's just edit the text to binary. Then let's have this as a txt result. Then on BTN OK, let's add the txt result or the value for the txt result. So we have here txt result dot text equals to the value of str. Okay, so let's try to run again the program. We have 25 as the input value, then click OK. It gives us 11001. That is the same with the sample output. Now let's try example number 4. Write a program that identifies if a string is a palindrome or not. Let's say the user enter a string and the string is madam. It will display the reverse string, same, that is madam. Okay, so the result is, it is a palindrome. Okay, if you say palindrome, guys, it is a word that if you read it from the last letter to the first letter, the meaning is the same. Let's say we have another input. We have the word hello. The reverse string is ole. Ole. So the result is not palindrome. Okay, so let's have this code inside the BTN OK. So here, guys, we have a variable index that is integer. Okay, so it will hold the number of characters inside the input value. Okay, so then we have the variable rev. This will hold the reverse string. For this example, we're going to use the do until. Okay, so copy this code first. So inside the loop, we're going to use the string rev. It will hold the letters. So starting from the last index, that will be added to the string, and the index will be decremented by 1. Okay, so let's change the sign. Okay, so we're not going to use this. We can remove this, or let's just place it here. Then change enter a number to enter a string, of course. This is reverse string. Okay, so let's just place the button here, a longer string or text box, and let's have a label for the result. Okay, so it will display here if it is a palindrome or not. So this label will be renamed to LBL result. Okay, so just ignore the text that will be changed later on. So again, here at the video, okay, we're going to display the result. So on the txt result, it will display the value of rev. Okay, so to identify if it is a palindrome or not, we're going to use a condition. So if you don't know how to use conditions, I have a separate video about that. I'll be placing the link on the description box, or place it here at the top of your screen. So we have here, or we have a condition asking if the txt input is equal to the reverse string. It will display, or the value of LBL result is it is a palindrome. If not, it is not a palindrome. Now let's try to run this program. So let's try to enter madam, then click OK. So if you're going to observe, the last letter is not placed. So let's try to change this index into less than 0. So the last index was not placed. Okay, so let's try to enter again madam, then click OK. So it displays that the string is a palindrome. If you're going to observe, the reverse string is just the same. Let's try to enter hello, then click OK. So the reverse string is ole. Okay, so that is not a palindrome. Okay, so that is example number 4, or problem number 4. So that's it, guys. We're done with the do while, do until, and while loop. If this video helps you, don't forget to like, and of course, if you want to learn more about programming, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more tutorial videos. Bye!